Now we'll be talking about how to modify the file tree. Here we'll be discussing how to create and remove files and directories, how to copy or rename files and directories, and you'll see in a minute why these two operations are mentioned together. Copy, rename, and move are all kind of pretty similar commands. And I'll also show in one more little example about how to avoid a common pitfall that could cause files to be deleted or overwritten by mistake. Again, we're still showing how to work with files and directories through the command line interface. So for files, typically when you create a file, you're using a text editor like Nano or Vim or Emacs, or if you're more familiar with Microsoft tools, this would be like creating a Word document or an Excel document, those kind of things. But you can also create an empty file with the command touch. Touch is normally used to just update file stamps, or timestamps, but you can also create empty files with it. So you just type touch file and it's created. So like I'm going to do like touch cat's meow 2 dot and I can add any extension I want to this, like even one that doesn't technically exist, like that. And now there's the file that I just created. You can also, as was demonstrated in a previous lecture, you can remove files with RM and use the flag or option -I to prompt to double check with you before you remove a file. And be aware that files removed with RM are deleted permanently. So they generally can't be restored. Some people have gotten lucky with system backup snapshots, but don't assume that those will be available or that they will be saved from a date that is useful to you. So now I'm going to very briefly, I already demonstrated this, but you can do, touch file.text. And now if I list star.text, file.text now shows up in that list. I can also remove it with just rm file.text like that. And I also want to draw your attention, well, forget that I already went over this, but be really careful using rm-rf with glob patterns. I'll show a little example about how that can be, how some people think, or how it's easy to think that you're ruling everything out, everything you don't want out, and forget something. Anyway. So directories, the command to create a directory is mkdir, mkdir. If you type mkdir and then say whatever, then just give an arbitrary name for a directory, it makes that directory. So mkdir would create directory dir. You can also use it to create you can also use mkdir to create directories with subdirectories to arbitrary depth, as long as you add this -p option. That means sort of create the full path. So you can create a directory / subdirectory, and as long as you include that p, it will create a directory with that subdirectory subdir. Now, to remove a directory, it's still the same rm command, but you have to add this -r flag. The -r means recursive. You can also add -f, meaning force, which ignores non-existent files and arguments and never asks before deleting. So particularly dangerous. But again, you can also add the -I option, which will prompt before every removal. So you could do -RI if you want to prompt for the removal of any particular folder and double check with you. And then you can say, and then when it asks if you decide you want to keep that particular folder, you type in N. And if you agree to delete, you type in S. So I'm going to show another couple examples. This is the terminal on Tetralith. So I'm going to make a directory called my new-dir. And then I'm going to make another directory with a couple of subdirectories. Cooldir / fancydir / just to add extra variety. No, I don't know. Wonder, something like that. Okay, and now if I ls cooldir shows fancydir. And then if I add the star, that lists the subdirectory of fancydir, which is this one. So it created the whole thing. And now I'm going to, because I don't need that anymore, I'm going to remove my new-dir. Now that my new-dir is gone, but cooldir is still there. So I want to show -RI. So it prompts. To send into directory cooldir, yes. 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 I want to delete that. Yes, I want to delete the upper level directory fancydir. Oops. And now I can remove the last one. So as you can see, if you add the I flag, it will not just prompt you for the top level directory. It'll prompt you for every level, which is handy. It's better safe than sorry. And now I'm just back to having the script and patterns directories that I already had. So now I'm going to go into another long stream of examples to demonstrate some of the things that we just learned, and as well as the command CD and glob patterns from the previous section. I mean, I kind of already showed a few of these, but we'll do it anyway. So the more you see it, the more it sticks. So I'm going to create my tester, which you may already have in your exercises folder. I purposely deleted mine so that I could remake it and show you. So I've made my tester. Now I'm going to CD into it and make a few more subdirectories. Make mkdir tester1, tester2, tester3. Now I've got 3 directories. And I'm going to remove the third one. So just grab it, paste. Oops, I forgot the RM. So there's rmr tester. Now I'm down to 2 directories. So now I'm going to show creating and removing files. CD into tester1. It's currently empty. So I'm going to touch file1.txt. Create a file2.sh, file3.c. Again, you can create, touch lets you create a file of any kind, any extension. and file4 dot dat. So now if I do ls, you can see all 4 of these files exist. Now I'm going to get rid of file4. And since it's a regular file, I don't need the recursive flag. So you can see that's gone. And I remove -I file3.c, remove regular empty file.c. Yes, I do want to do that. And now if I do ls, you can see I'm down to just these first 2 files that I created. Now I'm going to cd up. Here's another cool little trick. You can use these the 2 dots that back you out of a directory. You can use those multiple times separated by slashes to step out of multiple directories in one go. So now I'm back up to the top level exercises folder. And I've created some files here that contain the word meow for one last little example about why you should always test with a glob pattern with ls before using rm. So I've created these files, and you'll notice one of these says homeowners association. It's easy to forget because it's pronounced differently that actually contains the word meow as well. So if I were to do ls star meow star, it's in that list. So if you were to just do rm-f star meow star, it would get rid of this document as well. And compared to these other documents, this one looks a little bit more important. So you probably don't want to get rid of it. So what's a way that you could filter that out? Well, you could do something like star meow, and you'll notice that all of these that have all the other ones have at most 1 character after the meow before the dot. So, and they're all numbers. There's always either no character or a numerical character. So I'm going to put a comma. That means that, well, a comma and then 0 through, I don't have to go all the way up to 9. Maybe I can just go up to 5. So this means that it will match either a no character or a numerical character between 0 and 5. Now I'm not selecting this anymore. And now I can safely remove them all. There we go. I'm going to skip this reminder because it's been repeated several times now. All right, let's move on to copying and moving. So if you want to copy files or directories, the command is just lowercase cp. If you want to, so cp myfile.txt to myfile2.txt means to make a duplicate of myfile.txt and rename that duplicate myfile2.txt. You can also copy files into directories by specifying cp, the name of the file, and then the name of the directory followed by a /. The slash is important because that means it's a directory and you want to move the file into it or copy the file into it. You can also nest directories this way, or copy files or copy directories into other directories this way. So if you copy directory 1, if you want to copy directory 1 into directory 2, you give the name of directory 1, and here the backslashes or the / is kind of optional. but over here it's not. If you don't include this backslash, there's a risk of overwriting. And note that this command, as it's written right here, only works if the directory that you're copying does not contain any subdirectories. If it does contain any subdirectories, then you need to add this recursive flag, because that it doesn't if there are subdirectories in one of these directories, what you'll get is an error that says cannot copy recursively. So it's not that it'll just copy the top level directory and skip the subdirectories. It'll just raise an error. But if you add this R flag, then that allows you to copy dir1 and all of its subdirectories into dir2. And of course, you can always add this interactive flag to double check whether or not you actually want to copy this file into this directory or whatever you want to do. The reason that you might want to include the I flag is that if there is a file that already exists by the same name, and you try to copy into if you don't add the option I, you risk overwriting any existing file with the same name. So if you were to copy this command, so file.txt, you want to copy file.txt into directory dir. If you don't have this I flag and you have a file.txt inside of dir already, this new copy of file.txt will override whatever is already in directory unless you add this I flag. So now you can, if you want to go into the directory my tester under exercises, the structure looks like this. And you can cd from my exercises into my tester. And mine will look a little bit different from yours because I've done a lot of manipulation and I created it from scratch. But you see that there is a tester1 in there, in yours as well as in mine. So let me recreate this my file.txt by doing touch type. So now I've got that file there, and now I want to copy my file.txt into tester1. Before I do that, and this is a little handy trick I've picked up. If you decide that you don't want to execute a command just yet, go back to the front of it, add a little hashtag, and that turns it into a comment. So let me double check that testdir1 does not contain my file.txt. It does not. So now if I go back to that command that I decided not to execute right that second, and I execute it, now when I list the contents of tester1, there's my file. And I can very quickly do ls-t, whoops, wrong one, LTR. So you can see that my file.txt was created at 10:24. And if I cd up one level and re-execute this, what the heck? Oh, I should not have cd'd up. Okay. So now if I re-execute this myfile.txt tester. And then I ls again, you can see the timestamp has changed because this has been overwritten. Now I'm going to cd into tester1 and create another test directory, tester3. And now I am going to copy tester3 into tester2, which was a level above. So there is no tester3 here, but if I cd up one level, then I can copy, or you can copy, if you're typing this along, I can do copy -r because it needs to be recursive. Tester1/tester, have autocomplete into tester2. Now, if I ls tester2, now there's a tester3 inside of it. And you could have also done this from inside of tester1. You didn't actually have to cd out of it. If you wanted to do that, the other way was to, while being inside of tester1, you could have copied, use the cp-r tester3, and then have attached these two dots /tester2. And that's basically the same as stepping up one level and then executing the rest of the command. And I don't know why this number keeps resetting. And also, as a reminder, if you give the full path while copying, moving, creating, deleting any of these commands, as long as you give the full path, it can be done from anywhere in the file tree. So now let's talk about move. The syntax for move is very, very similar to the syntax for copy. It's essentially all the same stuff, except instead of creating a duplicate of the file, it actually renames the file or reconfigures the path to move the file. So if you want to rename file1 to file2, you use move file1 and then file1 and file2. That renames file1 to file2. The same command works for directories. Move dir1, move space dir1 space dir2 renames directory 1 to directory 2. And move file1.txt dir1/ moves file1.txt into directory dir1 without copying. Now, this is kind of important because while it's a little bit more flexible with the copy command, with move, it's absolutely non-negotiable. If you do move dir1 and then dir2, if you want to move a directory into another directory, the first directory should not have a /, but the second directory must have the /. Otherwise, it will be renamed. And again, this also only works if dir1 does not have any. No, this one will work if dir1 has subdirectories, I think. Again, you can add the I argument to make sure that it asks before you overwrite something that you don't mean to overwrite. Move, fortunately, will complain if there's already a file or directory with the new name, but you can force it. But you can force the rename with this -f flag, and that will overwrite whatever previously had that name. So now you can do some exercises here. Before I give you a, see, I'm running low on time, so let's just focus on the exercises. You should create 3 files, create a directory, and then create a subdirectory of that directory. Create a file in the subdirectory with touch, create another file inside the directory you created, and then move it to the subdirectory that you created. Rename one of the directories, delete or remove a file, and delete or remove the subdirectory. Given the time, I think this might be best left as homework, since we already did all of this stuff as type-alongs. And so let me just go straight to the last little topic here of this session, which is symbolic links. This is very short. Symbolic links are pointers to another file or directory. They're also called soft links or just symlinks. And they're useful because you can avoid using a long path each time you change to a directory, like a project directory, and you can avoid changing hard links within other scripts or programs. So it's good to avoid changing hard links if you, for instance, install a program or use a script that assumes the library that it's going to be using is called something like, I don't know, libcoolness.a. And what you actually end up with something like libcoolness.2.0.a because it's been updated and then they forgot to update the hard code. But then you can just update the symlink instead of renaming the actual library, which you might not be able to because of permissions. And you can avoid updating potentially many instances of that file where it's mentioned in the program. The command is pretty simple. It's ln for link, and then -s to make sure that the link is soft. Whoops. Then you give the name of the file that you're linking it to, and finally the link name. So for example, on Tetralith, if you have some project /Linux intro /user /your username, you can create a link to it in your home directory and just call it my project. So let me see. Let me double check that I have one of these links so that I can do this. I am x_ribp. No, I do not have one of these accounts, but let me see where I am. I am going to okay. So I am going to create a I'm going to create a symlink to tester 3 at the up level. So there's a tester 3 inside of tester 2, and I'm outside of both of those. So I'm going to create a link to tester 3. No, tester 2 /tester 3. And then I'm going to call it, TD3. And now you can see TD3 there. It's highlighted in green, turquoise, because it's not a directory itself. It's a soft link to a directory. And if you want to show what it links to, do something like LTR. And then the L, to be less complicated, then if I do ls-l, it shows that this symlink directs to tester/2. or tester2/tester3. So to summarize, you can create a directory dir with mkdir, mkdir, and then whatever the name of your directory is. You can remove a directory with an arbitrary name with rm-r and then the name of that directory. You can create an empty file with the touch command and followed by the name of the file. You can remove a file with a given name with just rm and the name of the file. The command to copy files and directories is cp, and then the name of the file, and then the name of the duplicate. The command to rename files and directories is move, or mv. So you give mv the name of the file or directory to move, and then the name of the destination, or the name of the file to rename it to, or the directory into which you're going to move it. And symbolic links are pointers to another file or directory. And lastly, always test cloud patterns with ls before using the same patterns with rm-r.